Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Let me see if I can explain this right, and you can kind of tell me. Voting to see if they were going to move on to the next level
Pretty
of voting?
much. Pretty much, yeah. Nothing, yeah. And obviously, the thing you alluded to earlier was the shot clock.
Right.
And that's been, a point of contention amongst people. There's people on both sides, and actually last winter I did a story about this. I talked to a bunch of basketball coaches about it, and yeah, you have teams that are very much in the pro, they want a shot clock camp. There's teams that don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's different reasons. Like, the people that are in favor of it think that it just helps the game. Obviously, it speeds up the game. It kind of rewards good defense because you only have a certain amount of time to get shot off, that kind of thing. Like, it's more similar to what you see other states around us have it.
Yep.
Obviously, if you're going to go play in college, they have it. Like,
yep.
People against it, have said they don't like how it changes the game, but also the fact that for smaller schools, it's an added expense. I mean, there are smaller schools that are kind of battling a little bit just to have enough people to operate the scoreboard, and the desk and stuff like that. And that's another person that you have to train and do, and then the cost of getting a shot clock. So it's just, you have both ends of it, and it's something that was voted down by the committee. And it's got a fair amount, a good amount of backing just in general from coaches. Not everybody, but a fair amount. But it hasn't gotten to that point where it's being voted upon by that.
Okay. All right.
So it's still kind of in the hopper.
Gotcha.
I think it will happen.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not happening right now.
Got it. Also, there was a couple other ones I'm seeing with basketball. What did it say? Proposals that would have released playoff seeds brackets a week later, expanded the state tournaments, were not approved by the advisory council.
Now, the bigger one, usually the state tournament or the postseason pairings are released like a week and a half before. So the Sunday, 9 or 10 days before, whatever it is, that weekend before. And they wanted to go a little bit later just so I think the thought process behind that is you have a little bit more of a sample size that goes into the numbers that, because remember, basketball is automatically seeded.
Right.
So maybe just another week of, maybe another couple games on the resume maybe helps a little bit of a more complete seeding process as far as who's seeded where.
Yep.
And as far as the doubling of the state tournament goes, and it's actually something where because right now you have 4 teams in 5 different divisions, so 20 total teams. They actually wanted to bump it up to 8 per. And that's actually a little bit more in line with what you see in other states. I didn't know this, but Wisconsin does have fewer teams that reach state than compared to Illinois or Minnesota.
Okay.
The issue that you would run into that with there is obviously you're going to have to start the state tournament earlier, maybe on a Wednesday, and actually you're going to have it at different sites, probably in Madison.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Not all those games are going to be able to be at the Kohl Center just because obviously you only have a certain amount of games you can play at one time.
Right.
So there's some moving parts there, and then you're kind of talking about the idea of media coverage and stuff like that for it, because you've got you might have some people that are covering and they're playing 2 different games at once or whatever, but it's not a thing that was just kind of, I believe that was the first year that was really proposed.
Okay.
So it's something you might see back in future years, just maybe kind of tweaked a little bit.
Maybe more research and talking to kind of figure
maybe
it out.
Maybe a way that's a little bit more appealing, I guess. But that's
the other one, because I know, wrestling. I thought this was one that kind of popped up and it was interesting. This was approved tournament proposal. It says here from the WIAA Twitter account, tournament proposal for the 25-26 season based on data obtained by the Wisconsin Wrestling Association will equalize divisions in a qualifying process, eliminate the regional round of tournament competition, and replace the Tuesday team sectional with an expanded Saturday team sectional tournament. So no more regionals for wrestling, it sounds like?
It's going to be, it's an interesting setup. That's I don't want to say radical because that just kind of gives the wrong connotation, but it's different. It's going to be a lot to kind of take in here.
Right. So that one kind of popped up on oh, okay, so taking away a regional.
Yeah, because for those of you that don't know, and you talk about the team sectional. The way it used to be was you'd have a regional on Saturday, and then your top finishers would advance to individual sectionals, which would be the next Saturday. But then that Tuesday in between, your regional championship teams would meet for a team-specific sectional, and that's how you determined who went to team state.
Okay.
You'd have like 4 teams, and then you would have semifinals and a final that night.
Gotcha. Okay. Did anything else kind of pop up for you? I mean, I know there was some hockey stuff.
There's some
but,
there was some other stuff. Those were kind of the big things. I think there was a thing of basketball about like the opportunity to wear like different jerseys at home, like your road jersey at home a couple times. Like that doesn't really faze me, but like the things you mentioned, I think were kind of the big things.
Yeah. So, and again, these are just like the advisory council.
Right. Yeah, it's not those. If they would have said yes to something, that doesn't mean they would have been kicking in right away.
Just really quick, too, for basketball, because I see the Jersey one here, too. It said, when a statistical seeding tie occurs among 3 or more teams, head-to-head will be reviewed among all the statistically tied teams.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I think the other thing, too, that will be important, if I remember correctly, was that the WIAA is going to publish kind of their formula for seeding.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly. I thought I'd seen discussion about that. And if so, I think that's a good thing, because that's kind of, certainly the seedings had been a point of contention, and it was kind of frustrating for coaches and fans when you see, okay, well, our team is this instead of that, but you really don't know why.
Right.
They would kind of say, well, these are the things we factor, but they didn't say how much certain things were weighted.
Gotcha.
So it's important to know, okay, well, is strength of schedule important, or is the amount of victories important, or what? So I just think transparency, especially in that instance, is a good idea. Like, I don't think you're going to have teams that are trying to quote-unquote game the system.
Right.
Because, like, you're really not going to do too much different. Like, even if, say, the seeding formula really rewards wins, like, you're still going to have teams they're not just going to load up their teams with, quote-unquote cupcakes, because they're still going to want to be tested for the postseason.
Now, it seems like, was this mostly for just the winter sports that they were talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
Because, it looked like all winter sports on there. So, all right. And then just for scheduling-wise, we got the Express. They're going to be at home 2 days in a row. They've been rained out.
Right. Apparently, Mother Nature does not want them to play the Loggers.
Exactly. So, looking at the schedule, they're in Duluth today, but then home on Saturday, in Duluth on Sunday, home against Duluth on Monday, and that's where they're going to be home for a while next week. So
looks like the weather's supposed to be better here in the coming days.
Yep. So plenty of opportunities.
And the next week, obviously, the next Friday, the annual 4th of July home game.
Yep.
A lot of opportunities to get out and see the Express with what looks like it should be some pretty nice weather.
Exactly.
I won't blame you, if it's 95 degrees and hot, but like it's supposed to be pretty nice here this next week plus. Once we get beyond this little bit of rain here.
Right.
Also, this weekend, the Chippewa Falls Post 77 Senior Legion team hosting their annual home tourney at Casper Park. So they're there. Eau Claire's there. I think Wausau's there. You got some.
That's usually a big tournament.
Yeah, there's
some
pretty heavy hitters there for that. So if you want a chance to get out and watch some Legion baseball this weekend, that's going to be the place to go today, tomorrow, Sunday.
And next weekend is the CRBL All-Star Game?
Yep, that will be a week from Sunday. That's at Casper Park as well. Tilden Tigers are hosting that, so
okay.
You want to go out to see that as well. I mean, and then, of course, on the 4th of July, if you want to go to the Express game in the evening, you can, but during the day you'll also have the annual Chippewa Falls versus Eau Claire Legion games. That'll be at Carson Park. I believe it's 11 a.m. for 17U, 1 p.m. for 19U, so
a lot of baseball.
You can make a day of it of baseball at Carson Park if you want to, and you'll see some really good baseball. So,
well, 4th of July and baseball go
it
together.
It kind of goes together, doesn't it?
Yep, it does.